Welcome to Perfect Mind Martial Arts Day 1, Setting Up. Today we're going to learn how to set up our database. The first thing that we need to do is go to our social site address, which is also our database address. That is typically our company name .perfectmind.com. So my company is Skipper Martial Arts, so I'm going to go to skipperma.perfectmind.com. The next step I'm going to do is log in. So login is located up here at the top right hand side. I'm going to enter my username and password. I will see my three main areas: money, office, and social site. So money will be your basic bookkeeping, office will be where you do your day-to-day tasks, and your social site will be a members area for you, and occasionally also your website, which we'll talk about as we go through our lessons. So what we're going to do for setup is actually go to our name at the top right-hand side, and we're going to go to settings. Occasionally when we first log in, the first thing we're going to see is our Get Started menu. You can follow through these Get Started tasks to help you set up your database. We're going to cover them today as well, however. The first thing we'll do now is go to our organization. So when we're in organization, we'll have a spot for our phone number. This is internal, so this is just for your information. An area where you can determine your social site address, so whatever that is, .perfectmind.com. So if you don't like the one that you have, you can always change it. The organization logo. So the logo will actually go up here at the top left-hand side of the screen. It is important to have a logo there that helps brand your product and your company. So basically, if you've got that logo up there, you want to help kind of create a branding for your company, and when each person, whether they're staff or members or just public visiting your site, they'll be able to see that logo up at the top there to help recognize your company. So to upload a logo, click on Upload. You can click Upload a File, and you can grab the picture from your hard drive. It will then populate here for you to see. We also have optional information. So optional information is just as it sounds, optional. You're able to fill in this information for yourself. It is not going to be seen by the public, it's just for your company. The regional information, on the other hand, is very important, so you want to confirm that this is correct. So your locale for your language, your time zone, so definitely make sure that your time zone is correct, and your primary currency, whether it's Canadian or Australian dollars, you want to make sure that that's filled in. The time zone needs to be correct because when you've got your calendar up, it's got to be reflecting the time zone that you're in. And the primary currency needs to be reflecting the country that you're in. There's also a short informative video here on the right-hand side that you can watch if you like. If you do make any changes, a save button will appear and you can save your changes. Our next step is to set up our users. So a user is anyone that can log into the system. They could be an employee, a program director, administrator. It could be just about anyone. So instructors or front desk staff. Basically, you're allowing them to have a login so they can log into your social site here and into your database and make sales, add new contacts, review reports, and so forth. So what we want to do is click New User. Enter a username. A username needs to be unique, so it needs to be the first and last name, could also be an email address. Whatever you choose needs to be a unique username. Enter a password. If you're not really sure what their password would be, just enter the word password1. I always put that in as my initial password. It's got letters and a number. Once they log in, they'll actually be able to change their password. The account information, the first and last name of your new user, and the email address. Email address, it's important you put a real one in there. That way if they forget what their password is, they can just click Forgot Password at the login screen, and they don't have to email you or call you up to find out what their password is or to have you reset it. The profile. So there's 3 levels of profile, the highest level being the global administrator. So global administrator should really only be yourself and someone you trust, as well as our support agents, so that they can access your database and assist you when needed. The level administrator is almost as high as a global admin. The only difference between global admin and administrator is that they cannot access the settings menu. Okay, so when they go to their name, they will not have a settings option. They cannot create users or edit your billing settings and so forth, but they can access your reports, your money section, and basically perform the same day-to-day tasks that you can. The last level is the employee. That's your instructors and front desk personnel. So the basic level. They can add contacts, they can create sales, they can take attendance, all the basic function you'd want from your employees. At the bottom, the language and time zone should be left as the organizational default, so you don't have to worry about this. The only time you may change this is if you're a multi-location organization and your employee is going to be in a different time zone. Once you're done creating your new user, you would save. When you first log in, you'll probably see yourself as well as a PM support login. That login is important, once again, just so that we can log in and assist you when needed. If you need to edit a user, you can click on them, make your change, and save. The next step is the cash rewards. So if you're interested in offering cash rewards on your social site, this is an option for you. You can have these automated rewards set up. Basically what happens is when your contacts are accessing your site as either public or members with logins to your social site, they'll be able to gain cash rewards. And what a cash reward does is it doesn't actually just hand them cash, but it does give them a credit that they can use towards purchases within your store. Okay, so some things like a join credit. So for example, $5, that means that if there's a public viewer on my site, they'll see a little spot that says get rewards. They click on it and they'll learn that if they join and sign up, they'll get a $5 credit towards their first purchase. Of course, this amount can be anything you like. If you decide you don't want to use a join credit, you can simply put it as 0 and it will not appear. There's also referral credits, so members of your social site, like contacts that already are able to log in, will be able to refer their friends. Now what they do is they'll get a code for either Twitter, Facebook, or email, however they want to advertise that they're trying to refer a friend here. They'll get that code, they can send it to their friend. If their friend signs up, then they'll receive the credit that you place in this area here. Purchase percentage. So what this is basically a loyalty rewards program. So say the contact spends $100 in your store and you have a 5% rewards credit. What they'll do is they'll get, say, $5 back that they can use towards the next purchase in your store. Lastly, we have the visit credit. So that just entices people to log into your site and see what's going on. Once they log in, they'll get say the 25 cents or 10 cents or whatever it happens to be. This helps increase your site traffic. It also helps everyone stay up to date on what's going on. The important piece to note here is this is only once per day, so a contact cannot just keep logging in and collecting credit. So you don't have to worry about that one. Once you're done, you would save your credits. If you want to see what this looks like, I'll just log out for a second here. What I can see here is a cash rewards spot up at the top, and I can see what kind of rewards are available. This is what the contacts will also see when they're logged in as members. They'll see what kind of credits they have available, how they achieved them, and if they've redeemed them. Alright, so I'm just going to log right back on in here. Alright. So there's also import here, which we're not going to talk about today. You'll probably want to confirm that one with your setup agent. We'll go over to the lounge. So if you're interested in connecting your lounge, you're eager to get it going here and working with it, you are able to set this up. So you'd go to lounge here and then Facebook sync. Your lounge is basically your community area, so you're able to blog, you're able to have an interactive FAQ section, and you're able to post between Facebook and your lounge, okay? And those two can connect. Now, if you haven't used it too much before, we will actually go over how to use your lounge in detail on our Day 3 lesson. So what we'll do here is we'll see there's login with Facebook. Okay, so you'll have to put in your Facebook email address and password. Don't worry if you're like, oh, this is linked to my personal wall. That's okay. When we log in and we give the system access, it's going to say, hey, do you want to link your wall? Do you want to link your fan page? What do you want to link? Okay, so you don't have to worry about it just linking up to your personal wall. So we'll put in our username and our password. When you first log in as well, it's probably going to prompt you to allow access. So it'll say, do you want to allow PerfectMIND to access your information? We're not going to be using your information for anything. It's just so that when a Facebook post pops up on your fan page, PerfectMIND is able to access that post and bring it into your lounge, and vice versa. It's able to post a lounge post onto your Facebook fan page. So what we'll see here, like I was talking about before, it's got my personal page as well as my business page. If I want to link it, I have three main options. I can have lounge information go into Facebook, or I can have just the Facebook information come into my lounge. Personally, I like it to go both ways, so there's an open line of communication. What I'll do then is connect, and I can start using my lounge. If I make a mistake or I need to disconnect it for whatever reason, I can always click disconnect. Okay? So the next section here is our themes. If we're developing a website for you, you probably don't have to worry about this section too much, but if you're curious about what it does and how it interacts, this is a good place to start. So what we see here is a bunch of basic themes that have already been created for us. You can simply click on them and click active to change it to your new theme. Now if you actually want to create a theme for yourself, you can click on new skin. So the skins are basically what you see here. So the blues, the blacks, the grays, and so forth. What we'll do here is we'll be able to name it. So usually just like your company name, or you can name it like red and yellow or whatever the theme happens to be. You can check off active to make it your new active theme. And they're very easy to choose the colors. You just click on the little palette. You can choose from the gradient, from the swatch, or even if you know the codes, you can throw the codes in there. Okay? Now what these different colors mean is the main color is actually what you see when I mouse over things. Okay? That's the main color. It's also the color of the lines here. Okay? So this line and this line. The main content background color, that's what's within this border here. Okay, that's the content. The tabs, those are those guys up here at the top. Page content border width, so this border around the edge here is our content. And the header and footer is what's up here at the top. And down at the bottom here as well. We can choose a font for our page overall. Now there's only a few fonts here, and that's so that every browser can pick up the different fonts that you have available. You don't want to have it so that, a particular browser or a particular computer can't read the font, right? So if you choose a very fancy font, sometimes browsers and systems will not be able to pick it up. So that's why we have a lot of fail-proof fonts here available for you. Page background color, so that's just what we see outside of the content border here. That's the background. Okay, the page text color is just sort of the general overall color of the text on the page. Okay, the footer and the header. So what those are is this is the header up here, and this is the footer down here. The section header is actually what we see here, for example, general or basic customization. Those are the section headers. We also have the side panel headers. So that's like general, social site, those are our side panel headers. We also have the menu bar color, so the top menu bar is actually just this one section right here where it says Tiger Skipper. At the bottom you also have a custom CSS option, so if yourself or anyone on your staff knows how to do custom CSS, they can always enter those codes in here, and that will actually override what's chosen up here. Once you're done setting up your new theme, go ahead and save. Sometimes it takes a little bit of playing around to get to the area that you like, and that's alright. You can always go back in there, make some changes, and come back again. So the rest of our social site options we're going to leave for today. We're going to talk about those a little bit more on our day 3 and day 4 lessons. We're now going to move into our apps, and our first spot here is automations. So automations is basically where we go to organize or set up our workflows. And what a workflow is it's basically a set of filters and triggers that will make something happen. So for example, welcome new student. This is a workflow email. Basically what it's saying is that when a new student is created, an email is going to be sent to them saying, hey, thanks for joining up, and so forth. So the next step is just to click on email template workflow, and you'll actually be able to edit that email. Okay, now if you want to activate it, you just click on enable and it's activated. If you don't want this to be active, you can always click on disable, okay, and that will deactivate it. Attendance settings is where you're going to go to set up your scanner. So I'm going to click on this, and if you're using a scanner, this is a great place to start your setup. So one thing we have here, it says attend me without booking. We're going to click on that. We can see some different options here. So minutes before start time, so how early can my student scan in? Minutes after start time, how late can my student scan in? Minute between scans, so how much space is in between each scan. Allow a makeup class. So a makeup class means that basically they're scanning in, but there's no class that they either belong to or that's even running at that time. And what it does is it will take a time stamp of the time that they signed in and put it underneath their attendance. However, it won't be linked to a class because there's nothing at that time that they belong to, or there's just no class running at that time. Allow smart scanning by rank. So this is an excellent option as well. We'll talk more about this tomorrow when we talk about the calendar or in our day 2 lesson. But basically what it does is it allows our students to scan in. And when they scan in, say if they're a white belt and there's a white belt class at that time, it'll automatically put them into that class. So if we had 3 or 4 classes running at the same time or in a very similar time area, we would be able to just have them scan in, and the scanner will actually know based on their ranking which class they belong to at that time. Once you're done having this all set up, you can click on Save and return back to your workflow list, okay? And there's a few things for you to look at here. Our next step is going to be our billing settings. So we go to Billing and we go to Billing Setting. So in billing settings, you will want to set it to billing direct if you're going to be using the PerfectMIND billing direct services for your sales and your transactions. That is a merchant service that we do provide. It ties everything in together, so we usually recommend it as a good option. Also, you'll have reports and transaction records that will all be reflective of what kind of revenue is going to be going into your account each month, and you can always cross-check that as well. Also, another major benefit of using billing direct is you'll be able to complete online sales, so that if someone decides to shop with you online, they'll be able to purchase their membership through your online store, and that will actually update their account right away. So it is quite beneficial. So if you're going to be doing everything in-house, however, you can switch it over to in-house. This way you can still record your transactions and see what's going on within your reports. However, with in-house, you will not be able to complete online sales for your members and your contacts on your social site, okay, because it will not be connected. So I'm going to switch it back over to Billing Direct here again, because we do have a few more options available if you are using the Billing Direct services. For example, how many credit card attempts before marking is delinquent, how many times until we mark the EFT as invalid. EFT, if you're curious, it does stand for Electronic Funds Transfer. What that is your ability to debit a checkings or savings account directly. Okay, so that is an option when you're applying for billing direct services. Now, there is one option down here at the bottom, okay, and it's for online shopping, and it says, allow processing by EFT for members. Now, this is sort of a different option. That's why it's kind of just secluded down here at the bottom. We don't have as many schools using this option because it does take 7 days for an EFT transaction to complete. However, some schools do find that this is a really useful option. They have a lot of members on EFT that have been with them for a long time, so they trust them to purchase online using their EFT information. In that case, they allow this, okay? But if you're kind of new to it, you might want to leave this one unchecked just for the time being until you're a little more familiar with the process. When you're done making your changes, you can go ahead and save. We're going to return back over to billing again here, and we're going to set up our tax. So if you have to sell tax within your products or your memberships or whatever you're offering, you are going to have to set up a tax. So we'll go New. You'll be able to name your tax. You want to make sure that your tax is active. The code name will populate as you enter the name, okay? So you don't have to worry about changing that, and then you'll save. You can also work with, if you're just logging in for the first time, you might have a sales tax option available. Just check it off as active and save. The next step with your tax is you're going to want to add a tax rate. So once you create your tax, a little spot at the bottom will appear that says tax rates. For this, you want to click on New. Okay, so then the next part is entering the percentage. So what is my sales tax percentage? I can put that in here. You just want to enter it as a value, so 5.5. You don't need to add a percentage symbol or anything like that. The start date, now if it starts sometime in the past, you're not sure when, you can just pick a random date. If it's a tax that's going to be enforced in the future, of course you can also select the future date and save. We'll talk about how to add those taxes to particular products and memberships in our day 2 lesson. Another spot here is the store receipt, so we can click on store receipt, and we're going to click on this RS dash, a whole pile of zeros there. So the store receipt does not need to print necessarily every time we complete a sale. There is an option to print, there is an option to email, and then if you just navigate away from the page, you don't have to do either. If at some point a contact says, hey, can you reprint that receipt, you can always reprint the receipt as well. So what we can do here is receipt printing setup. So how many copies do we want to print? So sometimes some people like to print two, so that if they're printing a contract, they can have one copy for their files and one copy for the contact. Some people are okay with one. Print customer name, print customer phone number. So if you want either of those to appear on the receipt, you're going to want to check them off. The company name, so you'll put your company name in there. Slogan, if you have a slogan, put it in here. Now if you don't have a slogan and you don't erase receipt not set up will be your company slogan. So please make sure that you take this away if you don't have one. The same will go for your custom header. You don't want this to print, so make sure you take it away. Custom header, custom footer have basically a few different purposes depending on what you want to do. You can actually leave them blank if you like. Some people in the holiday season will put things like happy holidays. Some other companies will put, passes non-transferable or have a great day, thanks for visiting, that sort of thing. So it's up to you what you put in these. They're completely optional. Company address, you'll put your company address in here as you want it to appear on your receipt. Same with your company phone number. Your tax registration number. So if you're required to print the tax registration number on your receipt, please fill this in. If you have more than one, of course, you can use up to 4 spots here. The contract setup details, so custom title and custom body. So basically what this means is that if you have a basic contract that suits most of your memberships, at the time of the sale, when you're completing it, when you're able to print the receipt, it will ask you, do you want to include your contract or not? If you check that box and you print the receipt, it will include whatever you put in here. So typically people will put in things, the memberships are non-transferable, memberships require 30 days notification, prior to the end date of the contract, sign here, and so forth. So you're able to just type that out. Now if you don't use contracts, or you're not going to use this for contracts, sometimes people will throw like a random coupon in there and print it out randomly, so you can say like 10% off your next in-store purchase or something like that. So you can use this area for a variety of reasons. Once you're done, you want to click Save up at the top. Okay, we're going to return back to billing here. And we're going to skip over income type and expense category. We'll talk about those more on our day 3 lesson when we talk about money. The last spot here is our discount. So when we're in the store, we're able to give discounts at the store level. Alright, so if you got a student or a military person, you're able to give them a discount. So when you first log in, you'll see 10%. If you want to edit, you can click on it and change. To add a new discount, what you're going to do is click on New. Okay, and you're going to enter the discount name. So for example, you could have it as a student discount, or you can simply name it whatever the value is going to be, 25% for example. Enter the type, so do you want a dollar amount or percentage amount? Okay, and then enter the amount. So if I type in 25 here and it says dollar discount, it's a $25 discount. If I change it to percentage, it'll be a 25% discount, and then I can save. Our next step is going to be to head on over to the calendar at the bottom left-hand side and look at our instructors. When you first log in, you'll have some defaults. You can just check off the box at the top and hit delete. To add a new instructor, click New. Enter their first and last name. You can add an About section and a photo as well. Click Choose File or Browse and add a picture from your hard drive. If you're going to be using features like Book Me or the scheduler to allow your contacts to book online, it is important that we fill this area in. This way, when they're booking a class, they're actually able to learn about their instructor by reading the small biography you put in here, as well as viewing the image. That helps to build a better connection, especially with just brand new visitors who are thinking about booking online, as well as existing visitors, so that they can learn a little bit more about their instructors. Once you're done, go ahead and save. Instructors are important also to set up, as they will be used in the calendar to determine which classes they're teaching, and the calendar can be color-coded by the instructor that's teaching each class. Our next step is to set up our email, so go to the bottom left and click Email. Here you'll see an account called bulk email. Go ahead and click on that account. You can rename it from bulk email if you like, or just leave it the way it is. The most important part here is that you enter the from email address. So the from email address will actually be the email that your emails will appear that they're coming from. Okay, so you'll put in, info@skippermartialarts.com or whatever your email address happens to be. You want to make it a real email address as well, so that when your contacts respond to the emails that you've sent out, they're really going to go to an inbox that you check. So you'll want to put in a real email address that you want your emails to appear they're coming from here. Once you're done, you would save your changes. You can have more than one email account if you wish. So if you have an info account, that could just be your bulk email, but you might also have, say, a training account or a front desk account, so that your instructors or your front desk personnel can actually send emails from a specific type of account. If you want to do that, click New Account. You can name it, so you could name it like Head Instructor, Instructors, Front Desk, whatever you want to call it, and enter that email address down here. So it could be frontdesk@skippermartialarts.com, for example. Once you're done, you would save. When you send emails, you'll be able to select which email you're sending from. Lastly, we're going to talk about our martial arts setup. So we're going to go to martial arts at the bottom left-hand side, and we're going to go to programs. Programs are going to encompass our ranks. When you first log in, you'll have a few you can work with. You can check off the top box to delete. To add a new program, click New. So if we have a karate program, for example, and it's rated by time, we can just say karate by time. We can even enter a description about the program and an image if we like. If we have a karate program for kids and a karate program for adults, one is ranked by time and the other is ranked by attendance, we may want to separate that. So we could say karate juniors, and that goes by attendance. But our karate adults, they go by time. So you'd be able to set that up and save that as two separate programs. The reason is when we relate our ranks to these different programs, we want those ranks to be tracked by either time or by attendance, and it's very important that we set this up initially. Once you're done, you can save. Our next step is going to be setting up those ranks that go inside the program. So we'll go martial arts again, and we're going to go to ranks. When we're setting up our ranks, we may see some in here that we can either use or discard if we wish. We can click the top box here and hit delete to get rid of all the existing ranks. To create a new rank, we're going to click New. We're going to name our rank. So for example, if our ranking system varies between our adults and our kids, or even just a completely different style, we're going to set up different ranking systems. So we want to name each belt so that it makes sense. For example, White Karate Junior. Okay, so what we're saying with this belt is that it's a white belt, it's karate, and it's for our juniors. Okay, so we're indicating what level it is, what type it's for, so what kind of style, and if it's junior, adult, or if they're ranked the same way, neither. Okay, we can just say white karate or karate white. The program. So we're going to select the program that it's related to. The program progress will be determined by the program we select, but it will not appear until we save. And then we're going to give it a rank order. So this could be rank order 1, or it could be rank order 101. It doesn't matter. What we're trying to do is indicate what rank comes next. So if white belt 1 stripe is our next rank, that would be 2. Okay? So we're trying to put in an order so that when the system notices that they've been promoted, it will say, okay, what comes next in that rank order? If the next one is going to be 102, it will select that. Okay, so we want to set it up either as 1 or 101, or even you could start it off at 1001. It wouldn't matter, just long the next stripe is going to be 1002 or 102 or whatever it happens to be. If you're not using stripes, of course you can ignore that. You can just say the next is going to be yellow, or whatever the next rank happens to be. If you hand out your stripes sort of just on your own, okay, and there isn't really a ranking system for them, you also don't have to include them as ranks. However, if you are handing out stripes and there's a certain period of time or attendances that the student needs to achieve to get to the next one, you definitely want to set it up as a rank as well. So you could say, yellow, white belt, yellow, let's see here, white belt, first stripe, or whatever it happens to be. Okay? And then the next part of this, we're actually going to scroll down. We can add a color, okay, so a little picture of a belt usually works. And then the next spot here is the time or the attendance. Okay, so very important that you scroll right down to the bottom of the page and you look at this spot as well. So if our ranking is going to be going by time, we're going to fill in this section. If it goes by attendance, we can fill in this section. Okay, if it goes by both, that's okay. The system is only going to recognize one. However, you can fill in the secondary for your information. And I will teach you on our second lesson, which is day 2, how to review our reports and how to review our views to see the time and the attendance together so that we can look at if that student is going to be ready for their promotion or not. So the first part is almost ready. So we can see that on both sections here. And if you're curious what that means, you can always mouse over these orange squares here and they'll give you a little bit more information. What almost ready means is at what point are we pretty sure that the student should be getting there, okay? At what point do we want to judge and say they're going to be ready for their test or they're not going to be ready? So if it takes 60 days, for example, to be ready, so it takes us 2 months to be ready, at what point before that 2-month period should we be checking over our students to see where they're at? Okay, so for example, maybe we want to check them at 50 days. So that gives us 10 days to get them ready for the test. Some people may be a little more interested in giving them a full month to be ready, so they should be almost ready at the 30-day mark. Okay, so at this point they have 1 month to complete everything to be ready officially. So we want to start, saying to them things like, even 45 days, give them 2 weeks to get ready. We want to be saying, okay, you're doing really good, keep going the way you're going, or hey, you need to attend some more classes and put a lot more effort into your high kicks and so forth. Okay, so that's what we're using almost ready to do, is to help us determine when that person's going to be ready and if they're going to reach that 60-day mark, which is the point in which they should definitely be ready. Okay, and you're going to do the same for your attendances as well. How many attendances to almost? How many attendances should they definitely be ready? Once you're done adding up your new rank, go ahead and save. When we look at this list, we're going to see how our rank order is working. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 7. So 1 through 7 is going to be the karate juniors. Now what you notice is that there's a space between the juniors and the adults. So when we're setting up a ranking system, if our juniors and our adults are ranked slightly differently, we want to start the rank order number off with a gap. This way a karate junior karate junior black does not graduate to become a karate adult white. Okay, so that's why there's a gap, because that is the end of this ranking system for this type. Okay, so the juniors end here. Now we start the adults off at a 9, okay, and they go 10, 11, all the way through, okay, so it doesn't matter that we start on a 9, all that matters is that 9 progresses to 10, progresses to 11, and so forth until 14. Now, they have a different style here, which starts at 201. So Aikido, they've decided to start at 201, 202. Once again, you can see, so long the next is 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't matter what number we start with, so long it progresses through, and that there's a gap in between each. So a karate adult black belt cannot graduate accidentally into an Aikido adult white belt. Okay, so there's a gap, and once again, there's a sequence. Our next step, we're going to return to martial arts, and we're going to go to main interest. So main interest, when we're setting up a new contact, is a way to help us determine what kind of classes, what kind of events we should put out there based on what our contacts are mostly interested in. So when they come in, you can say, what are you here for? Is it self-defense, bully prevention? Is it here for weight loss? What are you here to do? So you can use some of the defaults in the system if you like, or you can simply delete them. To add a new one, just click New. Add in the name, so for example, weight loss or women's fitness, and save. Pretty simple, that one. We're going to return back to martial arts again, and we're going to go to automation. We're going to click on My School, and we're going to determine our ABC ratings. So automation, you're just going to put your school's name in there, and then you can select how you want your students to be rated. Basically what these are, they're based on a 30-day period and how many times a student attends in that 30-day period. So an A student attended 9 times. What this is based on is if a student comes twice a week, they should attend 8 times in a month. So someone who comes just a little bit more would be 9 times a month, and that would make them an A. And then you can select a B, C, and non-active. It's completely up to you what kind of numbers you put in here. You could even change C to a 3, so they come barely once a week. Okay, what you mostly want to try and achieve here is looking at these C's and these non-active students. Okay, if they're in this range at all, they're probably going to cancel, and this is something we want to catch before they do cancel so that we can determine what is going on to help them out. Maybe they don't like their instructor, maybe they've injured their leg, maybe they're, the funding isn't there. You want to be able to determine why are they coming less and less and less. Okay, and if you can, find out what that reason is, you'll be able to hopefully save that student and, find something that's going to work for them. So that's what we really want to look at here. Once you make your change, you can go ahead and save up at the top. So that is our setup. That concludes our day 1 lesson. And the next lesson will be about our contacts, calendar, campaigns, memberships, products, and reports. And that is basically going to cover our office. So that is day 2. Day 3 we'll talk about social site, how to use our lounge, our albums, how to add pages, and day 4 will be advanced. We'll talk about how to create emails and how to edit our social site and do a few more advanced options there.